So yesterday on the channel you saw my review for NASOMATTO's latest fragrance, FANTOMAS. I thought to myself, you know what, it's an earthy fragrance, really reminding me of Petrichor, Geosmin, soil tincture and all that stuff. I thought, let's put together a video that features some of these styles of fragrances. So today, in this video, I've got 10 very earthy smelling fragrances for you. And the fragrances in this video that are earthy will feature smells like Geosmin, Petrichor, after it rains or before it rains and things like that. So very, very earthy fragrances. If you're curious to learn about these fragrances, please stay tuned. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Sebastian with Smelling Great Fragrance Reviews. That's right, today we're talking about earthy fragrances. And these are kind of earthy fragrances that are a little more smelling of the earth, the ground, what's under the earth, and what happens to the earth before it rains, after it rains, and things like that. So I've got 10 different fragrances, and of course, I also have NASOMATTO's latest, FANTOMAS, and if you haven't caught my review of this, definitely you should go catch it, as it just aired yesterday. But before we get to the fragrances, if this is your first time tuning into my channel and you still haven't subscribed to my channel, please do click the subscribe button below and also click the bell so you'll be notified for future videos and giveaways. So let me ask you, how many of you have sampled FANTOMAS and what do you think about it? And also, do you like this idea of earthy fragrances, smells of Petrichor, Geosmin, and you know, all the kind of earthy smells that you would get from, you know, when it's just about to rain and that smell the earth creates, or even things like digging into the soil and getting the soil tincture and earthy notes and things like that. Let me know if you're a fan of this. And you know, in the past people have asked me to do this video, and now that I've gone through my collection and after this fragrance, I thought, you know what, it was the perfect time to do this video. So we're going to go ahead and start off right off the bat with FANTOMAS. And again, as mentioned in the video yesterday, NASOMATTO doesn't really announce notes, and I think what happens on the databases is once people get the fragrance and, you know, experience it, they kind of make up notes. So if you follow those databases, then those notes are kind of made up. But you know what? You can kind of pretty much tell what fragrances smell like after testing them out. This was a little more challenging. It was a little more synthetic. It was slightly metallic, but very, very earthy. Again, Petrichor came to mind, soil tincture came to mind, the Geosmin came to mind, and all that good stuff. And so I figured that's what it's reminding me. And in that video, I also mentioned it kind of reminds me of the original Bat, because that fragrance smelled like you were in the bat cave, very earthy, the soil tincture, slight fruitiness from what the bat eats and all that kind of stuff. So I get all that stuff. And again, I haven't compared or I haven't tested the original bat for a long time, so it reminds me of it. But if I put them side by side, they're probably going to be a little different. So just wanted to warn you. And if you don't know what Petrichor is the earthy scent produced when rain falls on dry soil. And if you don't know what Geosmin is, it's just basically earth smell, what the earth smells like. So these are notes that are used in perfumery. And again, some of these fragrances today will have that. So if you haven't caught the video for NASOMATTO's FANTOMAS, please do go catch that. And let's move on to the next fragrance. And the next fragrance is the fragrance from the house of Zoologist Perfumes, but it's Bat 2020. So in this one, for me, it's slightly, well, not slightly, it's definitely much different than the original Bat. It doesn't smell like the original Bat whatsoever. But they still have soil tincture here. They have guava, they have fruity notes, passion fruit, guava, obviously, some fig, but you know what, there's animalic notes in here, there's minerally notes, and of course minerally notes and things like the earth smells all kind of connect together for me. There's the smell of stones and pebbles, but leather, jasmine, I get a major dose of jasmine. It's night blooming jasmine here, but the combination is very earthy and you know, kind of Petrichor-like, soil tincture-like, but in the end, I feel like this is so different compared to the original when smelling them. There's a lot of differences, whereas the previous version smelled totally like the inside of a cave, you know, like a damp, earthy, somewhat moist cave where you can feel the humid moisture in there, the dampness, and there's a smell of you know, the earth in there. And then this one doesn't do that as much. It's more of an outside of the cave experience for me, this particular bat fragrance, compared to that. And some of you mentioned that the perfumer that did the original bat, Ellen Covey, who I have met, and of course, as I said, I have a video of Ellen speaking about the original bat on the channel. You're welcome to search for it and learn about it. She has her own fragrance now. I guess what happened was the fragrance was discontinued, and Ellen took her fragrance, the original bat, and now she's released it as her own. I think it's called Night Flyer. So if you like that original fragrance, go check it out. But also, please do check out FANTOMAS, because I feel like there are some similarities, and now I'm curious to smell Night Flyer. But going back to bat 2020, again, they're nothing similar, but again, they have their own unique twist. And I feel like this doesn't go into the cave much, but it kind of hints at it, because you know, you still have that soil tincture kind of smell in here, but lots of fruits, animalic notes, leather, and flowers all mixed together. So that's bat 2020 for a very earthy fragrance. So this next fragrance is from the house of ETAT Libre d'Orange, and this is a fragrance that features a note of geosmin, an earth smell. This is a very complicated mouthful name. It's HERMAN Amicot Me Paraissait un Ombre. Very, very long name fragrance. Challenging. Anyway, this is it right here. If you guys don't know this house, check it out. This smells fantastic and very, very earthy. Earthy smell with lots of patchouli and rose, Petalia, musk, pepperwood, Ambroxan, and of course geosmin as well. So this one, even though it's very, very earthy, it smells of the earth, but you're smelling earth with all those additional things. So it's very, very bright for me. The rose brightens things up. The patchouli adds some effervescence, some sparkliness, but lots of green woodiness. Petalia for the flower, the musk, it's a very, very sexy fragrance, and I adore this fragrance. Sadly, the name is so complicated, so it might turn off some of you guys with the name, but give it a chance. You can just call it HERMAN. It's ETAT Libre d'Orange HERMAN. But check it out and explore it, because it is a fantastic smell. I feel like in comparison to all the fragrances here, even though it's earthy, it's very easy to wear, because some of the fragrances here might not be so easy to wear, because they just really become extensively earthy, like really big on the earthiness and the smell of the earth. This one is very, very easy to wear, and is a fantastic fragrance. The dry down is fantastic. The trail you leave behind is fantastic. So go check it out. It's HERMAN Amicot Me Paraissait un Ombre from the house of ETAT Libre d'Orange. So there's a fragrance house called STARCK Paris, named after the famous, I think he's an interior designer, Philippe Starck. There were 3 fragrances that were launched initially from this house. One of them, they all came out around the time of Bat, when Bat was out and becoming a really sought after kind of a artsy fragrance. As soon as I smelled this particular Pot d'Allure is what it's called, another very difficult French name, I thought, wow, this is reminding me of Bat. And this is the fragrance right here. It does remind me of it because it has major earthy notes. It also has notes of like soil tincture and things like that, which was present in the original Bat. So this has earthy notes, musk, woody notes, but for me there's some green stuff in here. Basically what they've credited are only the earthy notes, the musk and woody notes. So you do smell the earth, the ground deep under there, the dampness, the moisture, and the smell of the earth. It's in there, but it is very, very brightened with a lot of other things happening with it. So in the end, when you compare it to this, it might be a little more challenging to wear. It does go into that direction of the Bat, like the damp cave and all the you know, the earthy smell of the cave, but there's a lot of brightness around it, so it doesn't make it so challenging. So for me, as I was saying in the video yesterday for NASOMATTO's FANTOMAS, that I had a difficult time wearing bat, the original bat. It's more for something I would smell and just enjoy the smell of here and there. This one is actually easier to wear because it has all the surrounding bright notes next to the earthiness, the very, very earthy earth smells and petrichor like soil tincture kind of smells. So if you don't know it, check it out. It's Stark Paris Pot Allure. I think that's how you say it. Very difficult to see, but the name is right in the middle there. So that's another one for you to try. Let me know if anybody knows this house and knows the graphic or the interior designer. The next fragrance we're going to talk about is from the house of LABO. It's BAIE 19. Once again, petrichor in full bloom in here. It's very, very earthy smell. It's an earthy smell that's a little challenging to wear, but it's so full of patchouli and earth and greenness that it actually makes it very, very exciting, because the patchouli adds this sexy layer to this, but in the end you're smelling the earth with lots of patchouli. It's almost like you're digging the earth for patchouli, and you like the smell. You're moving around the earth, and then all this like growth of patchouli is leaving a trail of smell. Kind of that's what it reminds me of, which is quite fantastic to me. But loads of patchouli, juniper berries, aldehydes come in as well. There is a slight effervescent quality, and I love aldehydes in fragrances. Musk, green notes, Ambroxan. It's a great scent, a little different. It might be a little challenging for some people. And again, as I said, this one has that challenging touch to me. And there are some similarities with the petrichor, like earthy soil tincture kind of smell between the two. But this one is ultra green. It's definitely on the green side. Lots of patchouli, as I said. Lots of musk. There's lots of fizzy aldehydes in here, but a wonderful scent. So if you like the idea, definitely check this out. I highly recommend, if you like any of these fragrances, that you sample them with samples or test them out in stores rather than get samples, because for the general public they might be a little odd. I just want to warn you. Next is a fragrance from a house called MIHAN Aromatics, and this is Petrichor Plains. So this is, the name Petrichor is in the fragrance. When you first smell this one, it'll remind you of a Le Labo fragrance. Very, very popular one, Santal 33. For some reason, there is something interestingly earthy, woody green in here, almost sandalwoody, reminding me of the sandalwood in Santal 33. But it develops and changes, because it says the main notes are woody notes, and I'm assuming that's what it is, the sandalwood. That reminds me of Santal 33. But in addition to that, there's rain notes in here. It's like rain, like it's raining, drizzling. Solar notes, earthy notes, and asphalt. It's a very, very unique fragrance. Great packaging and a wonderful smell. It's just, if you're not a fan of Santal 33, for some reason you might like it. This might totally remind you of Santal 33, because it does when you first smell it. But give it some time, and it'll develop into those more rain notes, the solar notes, the earthy notes, and asphalt notes. So there's something, what do you call it, very minerally in here because of all the notes that I read about. Very earthy, because of course there's earthy notes in here, but it's just a combination of very, very unique notes. It's a little on the avant-garde side, a little bit like you know, notes that are a little challenging, like the stuff that I read to you about in FANTOMAS and BAIE 19, but it's its own unique creation. Now, some people love Santal 33, but they are kind of getting a little tired of it. They might wear something like this to have a little more adventure with their scent, because, you know, in the end, it kind of starts out smelling like Santal 33 a little bit, but it changes and develops into all those unique earthy petrichor-like smells. Anyway, that's MIHAN Aromatics Petrichor Plains. If you don't know that one, check it out. It's an Australian house. Well, next we're going to California from the house of A Lab on Fire, and this is California Snow. So this one is a very, very unique fragrance in that it's very, very musky, earthy, and it's like soil touching the earth. So in the end, imagine just snowdrops coming down and hitting just like dirt that you've kind of like just broken up, and you're ready to plant something or get ready for spring, and before spring arrives where you can plant things, or maybe you plant them in the winter. I'm not the expert on this. And you know, the soil is like dripping, like just covered in snow. It's that smell of the snow with the earth together is what this fragrance is all about. In the end, we were, a friend of mine, Dahlia, who you guys all know about, we were sampling fragrances several years ago. She fell in love with it and bought it, and of course I have it as well. It's a kind of a musky creation, but very, very earthy. There are greenish touches. There's a little bit of herbal, dry, leafy kind of hay-like qualities. Of course there's hay, there's chamomile, soil tincture, clary sage for aromatic touches, musk, tea, rose, vetiver, cannabis, cedar, tonka. A very, very unique concoction, an underrated fragrance, but if you like the idea of snow hitting the soil kind of a smell, then this is definitely one for you to try. It's a very unique fragrance, and I enjoy it a lot. Anyway, California Snow from the house of Lab on Fire. So this next fragrance is a fragrance that is earthy in a sense that it's very green and chypre. It's a chypre fragrance from the house of Orza El Legrand, Chypre Mousse, this right here. But it has a major dose of soil tincture. So it's very, very green, earthy, soil-like, mushroomy. So there's notes of oak moss, soil tincture, mushrooms, fennel, mint, angelica, clover, fern, green notes, galbanum, vetiver, lots more going on. It's almost like an earthy salad. Because there's so much green notes in here, it's like all of it kind of like a potpourri or a cornucopia of like different greens that you've mixed together, and you're ready to toss in, you know, just before you've tossed in the salad dressing, you know, ready to eat all this green stuff. It's what it basically is. But imagine mushrooms that you have the soil still on it, the earthy smell, the actual soil tincture as well, the smell of that, but it's a very, very greenish kind of oak mossy, earthy, soily, kind of mushroomy concoction. It's actually a really, really great scent. I feel like this is the least earthiest of all the creations I've spoken to you about now, but it is a fantastic smell. It smells fantastic. It's different. It's unique. It wears really wonderfully. I love the whole fragrance. It's just a great, great fragrance. And if you like the idea of a chypre that's gone in a complete different direction, this is one that you should definitely check out. Again, it's very, very green fragrance. It's very, very foamy. There's a very foamy quality about it. And of course, it's called Chypre Mousse, so why wouldn't it be foamy, right? Anyway, Orza El Legrand's Chypre Mousse, definitely a great fragrance. This next fragrance is a very mass fragrance targeted to men. Everything I've read to you so far has been unisex targeted. This is a male fragrance. And for me, this one was always earthy. And the earthiness comes from the ozonic qualities of the violet leaves note. It's from the house of Narciso Rodriguez. It's for him. And this is, to me, smelling like the rain hitting the asphalt. So there's a very, very earthy smell of the rain hitting, and that smell that you get when it first touches the earth, the ground. And it's a fantastic smell. I really love that smell just before it rains, because there's just something unique about it. And I love the anticipation of rain anyway. So when I know that smell, when I can smell that smell, it's just an exciting smell. But that's what this fragrance is mostly about. I think the violet leaves creates this ozonic quality, slightly watery, not marine or anything, just a kind of like ozone and water all kind of connected together, because just before it rains there's that smell, as I said. But what they create this fragrance with is the violet leaves, musk, patchouli, and amber, and it's a great, fantastic creation. I have an original bottle from when it first came out that I still have, that smells really, really strong. This is a more recent acquisition. It's a tester, and I'm putting the cap on from the older bottle on there. As you can see, it's a tester I bought from a discounter. It still smells great today, but I think it's lost a little bit of its potency, although it's a great, great scent. This one was featured last year in a video of violet leaves fragrances. If you guys like the idea of violet leaves, go catch that video on the channel as well. Anyway, Narciso Rodriguez for him. And the last fragrance I'm going to leave you with is, if I can find it, it's right here. Eccentric Molecules Molecule 5. So Molecule 5 features the note of cashmeran. It's mostly about cashmeran, but for me, cashmeran has a very, very unique smell. It's woody, it's ambery, and earthy, and it smells like mushrooms. Now, in the end, this can totally be all focused on this particular note, cashmeran. I don't know, because they don't advertise notes in here, and I feel like what they've done here with FANTOMAS is probably featured something like this, because ever since I smelled this one, I immediately got earthy mushrooms, like the soil tincture and things like that. Does cashmerean smell like that to you guys? For me, that's what I get with it. I've heard some people say this smells really god-awful and things like that. But cashmerean is used a lot in fragrances as a base note. It's quite frequently used. And if you want the pure stuff, this is it right here. Full-on cashmerean and nothing else. But for me, as I said, it's very woody, it's very ambery, it's very earthy, smells of the soil, and it smells of mushrooms. Anyway, that's Eccentric Molecules, Molecule 5. And those are my 10 earthy fragrances. Fragrances that smell like Petrichor, Geosmin, Just Before It Rains, you know, earth, soil tincture, all of that stuff. Let me know what your thoughts are on these fragrances, on this particular style of fragrances. If you have any of these fragrances, let me know what you think. If you've never discovered or explored this style of fragrances, let me know if you're curious now. And if you recommend anything that smells of a very earthy soil tincture, Petrichor, Geosmin, all of that stuff, let me know. Put some recommendations in the comments so I can find out. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching today. If you have any questions or comments, please list below. Otherwise, please like this video. Please share it. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.